Welcome, friends, new and old, to Tales from the World's Firesides. I'm Clive Gilson, the story guy, and today we're diving into a strange and wonderful tale from the First Nations folk of Australia. Have you ever wondered if fish were always creatures of the sea, or if, once upon a time, they walked the land like hunters and wanderers? Well, in this indigenous legend, drawn from Andrew Lang's Lilac fairy book of 1910, we'll discover just how the fish found their way into the waters forever. So settle in, make yourself comfortable, and let's share a fish story. A fish story. Now, perhaps you think that fishers were always fishers and never lived anywhere except in the water. But if you went to Australia and talked to the indigenous people there in the sandy deserts in the centre of the country, you would learn something quite different. They would tell you that long, long ago you would have met fishers on the land, wandering from place to place and hunting all sorts of animals. And if you consider how fishes are made, you will understand how difficult this must have been and how clever they were to do it. Indeed, so clever were they that they might have been hunting still if a terrible thing had not happened to them. One day, the whole fish tribe came back very tired from a hunting expedition and looked about for a nice cool spot in which to pitch their camp. It was very hot, and they thought that they could not find a more comfortable place than under the branches of a large tree which grew by the bank of a river. So they made their fire to cook some food right on the edge of a steep bank which had a deep pool of water lying beneath it at the bottom. Now, while the food was cooking, they all stretched themselves lazily out under the tree and were just dropping off to sleep when a big black cloud, which they had never noticed, spread over the sun, and heavy drops of rain began to fall so that the fire was almost put out. And that, you know, is a very serious thing in savage countries where they have no matches, for it's very hard to light a fire again from scratch. To make matters worse, an icy wind began to blow, and the poor fishers were chilled right through their bodies. "This will never do," said Thuggai, the oldest of the fish tribe. "We shall die of cold unless we can light the fire again," and he bade his sons rub 2 sticks together in the hope of kindling a flame. But though they rubbed till they were tired, not a spark could they produce. "Let me try," cried Byanuga, the bony fish. But he had no better luck, and no more had Cumble the bream, nor any of the rest. "It's no use," exclaimed Thuggai at last. "The wood is too wet. We must just sit and wait till the sun comes out again and dries it." Then a very little fish indeed, not more than 4 inches long and the youngest of the tribe, bowed before Thuggai, saying, "Ask my father, Gudu, the cod, to light the fire. He is skilled in magic more than most fishers." So Thuggai asked him, and Gudu stripped some pieces of bark off a tree and placed them on top of the smouldering ashes. Then he knelt by the side of the fire and blew at it for a long while till, slowly, the feeble red glow became a little stronger and the edges of the bark showed signs of curling up. When the rest of the tribe saw this, they pressed close, keeping their back towards the piercing wind, but Gudu told them they must go to the other side, as he wanted the wind to fan his fire. By and by the spark grew into a flame, and a merry crackling was heard. "More wood!" cried Gudu, and they all ran and gathered wood and heaped it on the flames, which leaped and roared and sputtered away. "We shall soon be warm now," said the people one to another. "Truly Gudu is great," and they crowded round again, closer and closer. Suddenly, with a shriek, a blast of wind swept down from the hills and blew the fire out towards them. They sprang back hurriedly, quite forgetting where they stood, and all fell down the bank, each tumbling over the other, till they rolled into the pool that lay below. Oh, how cold it was in that dark water on which the sun never shone! But then, in an instant, they felt warm again, for the fire, driven by the strong wind, had followed them right down to the bottom of the pool, where it burned as brightly as ever. and the fishers gathered round it, as they had done at the top of the cliff, and found the flames as hot as before, and that fire never went out like those upon land, but kept burning forever. So now you know why. If you dive deep down below the cold surface of the water on a frosty day, you will find it quite comfortable and pleasant underneath, and be quite sorry that you cannot stay there. And so ends a fish story, a tale of magic, fire, and the fish's final home in the waters of the world. This story was adapted, as I said at the beginning, from a tale originally told by Andrew Lang in the Lilac fairy book, published in 1910 by Longmans Green and Company, London and New York. Stories like these remind us how people everywhere have looked at nature and wondered, weaving their own truths into legends. I've got full collections of folklore from the Arctic to Zanzibar and beyond, and you can find them all at good bookstores, both physical and digital. For example, you can find them on Amazon at the link at the bottom of the screen. If you're curious about the voice behind the mic, drop by clivegilson.com. I'm always glad to connect. Thank you, though, for joining me here at Tales from the World's Firesides. As I say, I'm Clive Gilson, the story guy. And if you have enjoyed today's telling, don't forget to subscribe or leave a comment and share these fireside tales with friends. Until next time, though, keep the stories burning brightly and take care.